It is 2 a.m. Your chest is tight. Your mind is trapped in an endless loop of racing thoughts. You're worrying about an uncertain economy, analyzing a passive-aggressive message from a colleague, wondering if you're falling behind your peers, and feeling the heavy, suffocating weight of burnout. You feel entirely alone in your stress. Now, travel back nearly 2,000 years. Imagine you are the absolute ruler of the known world. You control an empire spanning millions of square miles. Your word is law. Your wealth is infinite. Millions look to you for survival. But it is 2 a.m. You are sitting in a drafty military tent on the frozen borders of the Danube River. Your chest is tight. You are exhausted. Outside your tent, a literal global pandemic, the Andean plague, is ravaging your population, killing thousands every day. Your economy is collapsing. Your most trusted general has just betrayed you and declared himself emperor. Your health is failing. You pick up a reed pen, dip it in ink, and write down a single question to yourself. How do I keep going when everything is falling apart? We look back at history and falsely assume that ancient lives were simpler, slower, and easier. They weren't. Marcus Aurelius didn't live in an ivory tower. He lived on a battlefield. And every single night, to keep from losing his mind to the crushing pressure of his reality, he sat down to write a private journal. He never intended for a single soul to read it. He titled it simply, DICHOTOMY, which translates directly to himself. Today, the world knows it as Meditations. It wasn't written to teach philosophy to students. It was written as a survival manual for a man trying to stay sane while carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. If Marcus Aurelius walked into your room today, looked at your screen time, saw your anxiety, felt your creative blocks, and watched you stress over modern algorithms or social validation, he wouldn't tell you to download a new productivity app. He wouldn't give you a fluffy motivational speech. He would look you in the eyes and hand you a brutal, beautiful, and timeless blueprint for ultimate mental toughness. In this video, we are going to unpack the absolute entirety of Meditations. We are going to strip away the dry academic jargon and translate his ancient rules into practical, actionable tactics for your life today. If you are tired of feeling overwhelmed, distracted, and anxious about your future, this is the manual you've been looking for. Let's begin. Let's establish the foundational pillar upon which all of Stoicism rests. It is a concept known as the dichotomy of control. Marcus Aurelius sums it up in one single, sharp sentence in Book 4. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about how you started your day today. You woke up, and within 5 minutes, you grab your phone. You open an app. Your brain was immediately flooded with information you did not ask for. You saw a headline about a potential tech layoff or an economic downturn. You saw someone your age posting about their massive financial success. You saw a drop in your own views, engagement, or sales. Within minutes, your emotional state was completely hijacked. Your heart rate spiked, your mood soured, and you walked into your day feeling defensive, insecure, and anxious. Why does this happen? Because you are committing the ultimate psychological error. You are tying your mental peace to things that are completely outside of your control. Look at this list closely. When you get angry at an algorithm change, or when you spiral because a client canceled a meeting, or when you panic because someone didn't reply to your message, you are making a conscious choice to be an emotional slave. You are literally handing the remote control of your mind to an external variable that does not care about you. Marcus used a vivid analogy to break this habit. He asked us to imagine a rock that is thrown up into the air. Does the rock gain anything by flying upward? Does it lose anything by crashing back down to the earth? No. The rock remains exactly what it is, a solid, unshakable rock. When you apply the dichotomy of control, you become that rock. The next time you feel a surge of panic, anger, or stress, you must immediately pause and apply this filter. Ask yourself, is this specific issue within my direct control, or is it an external event? If it is external, you must train your mind to say, this is none of my business. You completely detach from the outcome and redirect 100% of your energy into your own effort. That is where your true power hides. Let's move to a problem that drains more human potential than almost anything else. dealing with difficult, toxic, and manipulative people. The passive-aggressive emails from clients, the internet trolls, the ungrateful family members, or the colleagues who try to steal credit for your hard work. Marcus Aurelius dealt with this on an imperial scale. He was surrounded by corrupt politicians, deceptive advisors, and backstabbing generals. To combat this, he wrote a reminder to himself at the dawn of Book 2. It is a passage that every modern creator, entrepreneur, and professional should read the exact second they wake up. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't distinguish good from evil. Notice something profoundly important here. Marcus did not start his day with toxic positivity. He didn't say, I hope everyone is nice to me today. He actively expected people to be awful. Why? Because when you expect flawed, unevolved human beings to behave perfectly, you are setting yourself up for constant emotional suffering. Expecting a toxic person not to act toxically is like expecting a fig tree not to produce figs, or expecting a dog not to bark. It is an evolutionary impossibility. But Marcus doesn't stop there. He doesn't tell us to become cynical or to build walls of hatred. He immediately follows up with this perspective. None of them can hurt me, for no one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes. Think about the absolute freedom in this mindset. When someone insults you, attacks your work, or treats you with disrespect, their behavior is not a reflection of your worth. It is a public broadcast of their own internal chaos, insecurity, and ignorance. They are spiritually blind. If you respond to an insult with an insult, if you write out a furious paragraph to a hater online, or if you let a rude comment ruin your entire afternoon, you have allowed their toxic energy to defeat you. You have voluntarily let them infect your mind. You have become exactly like them. Marcus's rule is sharp. The best revenge is to not be like that. If someone plays dirty, you play clean. If someone screams, you stay quiet. Not because you are weak, but because you refuse to let an unevolved person dictate your emotional state. Your peace is too expensive to be bought by a cheap insult. Let's look at what happens when your plans completely shatter. You spend months building a digital product, and it launches to total silence. You invest your hard-earned capital into a strategy, and the market trends shift overnight. You prepare for a job interview, and you get rejected at the very last stage. The average person views these moments as catastrophic dead ends. They complain, they play the victim, and eventually they quit. Marcus Aurelius viewed these exact same moments as raw engineering material. He wrote the most famous line in the entire history of Stoic literature. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the ancient art of a more fatty, not just accepting your fate, but actively loving it. It is the mental framework that completely reverses the polarity of bad luck. Marcus described the human mind through the metaphor of fire. He said that a weak, poorly tended flame can be put out completely if you throw a wet blanket over it. But a fierce, raging furnace welcomes anything you throw at it. If you throw dry wood, garbage, or debris into a raging furnace, the fire doesn't choke. It consumes the debris, uses it as fuel, grows exponentially hotter, and burns even brighter because of what was thrown into it. Let's apply this directly to a modern career crisis. Imagine you are hit with an unexpected layoff, or your main client suddenly drops your contract. The fire flicker response. You spiral into self-pity, complain about fairness, and freeze up for weeks. The furnace response. The Stoic masterclass, you immediately treat the catastrophe as a mandatory pivot. The layoff becomes the exact pressure you needed to finally build your own freelance brand. The rejection becomes a brutal but necessary case study that forces you to upgrade your portfolio, learn more advanced skill, and target higher-paying clients. When you adopt Marcus's framework, it becomes impossible for life to defeat you. A closed door is no longer rejection. It is a redirection. A market crash is no longer a tragedy. It is a masterclass in adaptability. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, how can I use this to make myself unkillable? We are currently living through an era that can only be described as a hyper-accelerated epidemic of vanity. We are constantly pressured to track our lives through digital metrics. We measure our self-worth by subscriber counts, views, likes, and professional titles. We spend hours curating a flawless aesthetic for strangers on the internet, chasing the temporary applause of an audience we don't even respect. Now remember, Marcus Aurelius was not a minor influencer. He was a living god to the Roman people. Statues of his likeness were carved and placed in town squares while he was still alive. People cheered his name wherever he rode. If anyone on earth understood the intoxicating, addictive nature of public validation and fame, it was him. And yet, in his private journal, he systematically ripped the concept of public praise to shreds. He wrote, "People who crave posthumous fame forget that the people who remember them will soon die too. Everything beautiful is beautiful in itself and asks nothing more. Praise does not make it better or worse." Let this sink in deeply the next time you feel insecure because your latest project didn't get enough engagement or because your peers didn't praise your effort. Does a pristine emerald lose its value if no one stands around to compliment its color? Does a mountain range lose its majesty if no one takes a photo of it? Does a sunset require a 5-star review to be beautiful? Of course not. Excellence is self-contained. It is complete within itself. Marcus would look at our modern obsession with digital prestige and remind us of the terrifyingly beautiful scale of cosmic time. Platforms go bankrupt. Empires fall. The trending topics of last week are completely forgotten today. The people who are leaving comments on your feed today will be dust in a fraction of a second in the grand timeline of human history. Stop outsourcing your happiness to the crowd. Marcus commanded himself to focus entirely on building his inner citadel, the unshakable fortress of his own self-respect. If you know you created your work with pristine integrity, absolute focus, and genuine quality, then you have already won. The metrics are just background noise. The greatest theft occurring in the modern world right now is the total fragmentation of your attention. We live in a state of chronic hyperdistraction. We open 10 tabs at once. We check notifications while trying to script. We listen to podcasts while checking emails, while simultaneously worrying about what we need to accomplish tomorrow. Our minds are scattered across the universe, leaving us entirely absent from the present moment. Marcus Aurelius viewed this lack of focus as a profound betrayal of one's own potential. In Book 2, he wrote a strict, uncompromising command to himself. Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice. He went even further, advising himself to approach every single task as if it were the absolute last action of his life. Imagine the sheer quality of output you would produce if you brought that exact level of pristine presence to your daily execution. To help us maintain this razor-sharp clarity, the Stoics developed a tool that sounds dark at first glance, but is actually the ultimate key to psychological liberation. MEMENTO MORI. Remember that you must die. Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not a depressing or morbid thought. It is the most practical prioritization filter ever created. When you keep the reality of your mortality at the front of your mind, your entire perspective shifts instantly. You stop wasting precious hours arguing with anonymous trolls in a comment section. You stop procrastinating on that massive creative project or business, venture you know you are meant to build. You stop letting petty slights, minor insults, and small setbacks ruin your day. Death is not a dark cloud waiting for you in the distant future. It is a present reality, a constant companion that quietly whispers the truth. Your time is running out. Stop wasting it on things that do not matter. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was never meant to be read once, so you could feel philosophically superior. It was designed to be lived, breathed, and executed in the trenches of everyday life. It is an active martial art for the human mind. As we bring this deep dive to a close, let's synthesize Marcus's entire philosophy into 3 simple, unbreakable daily rules that you can begin applying the exact second this video ends. Rule 1. Draw your line of control. The next time a crisis hits, your views drop, or a plan collapses, immediately draw a line down a blank piece of paper. On the left side, list what you cannot change. On the right side, list what you can change. Give 100% of your cognitive energy to the right side, and treat the left side with absolute cold indifference. Rule 2. Feed your internal furnace. When an obstacle blocks your path, do not complain, do not whine, and do not retreat. Treat that obstacle as raw fuel. Ask yourself, how can this problem make me more creative? How can this delay teach me patience? How can this failure make me unshakable? Be the fire that turns debris into a roaring blaze. Rule 3. Guard your inner citadel. Stop outsourcing your self-worth to an algorithm, a like count, or the fickle opinions of flawed human beings. Seek internal excellence, not external validation. Create work that is inherently good, act with absolute integrity, and let your self-respect be your only true compass. 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man on earth sat in a cold, lonely tent, writing notes to himself to survive the crushing chaos of his world. Those exact same words have survived the wreckage of centuries to help you master yours. The power is not in the world around you. The power is entirely inside you. Step away from the noise, master your mind, and remember, what stands in the way becomes the way. Thank you for watching. If this video brought clarity to your world, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment detailing the exact Stoic rule you are applying today, and I will see you in the next one. Stay strong.